Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hook Podcast. My name is Jeff Lowe. I have my co-host, Mr. Keith Butler.
Hey, Detroit. What's going on, y'all?
Yeah. The Hook Podcast is powered by True Detroiter. Make sure you get your True Detroiter T-shirts and hats and all the paraphernalia out there that's been put together by my man Keith here.
And we're going to tell you where to go to get that later on in the show.
Yes. Today we have a special guest. I have been just scouring the city, and I've been noticing a lot of cigar shops, a lot of smoke shops, a lot of lounges, hookahs, you name it. And I've been seeing somewhat of a transition. And today we have a special guest. He's the owner of the cigar bar, Livonia Cigar Bar. And I'd like to welcome Mr. Tony Jaafar to the show. Tony, welcome to the show. How are you doing today, sir?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thanks for having me. Doing great.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yes. Tony, tell us about, why you got into this business. It's such an intriguing and fascinating type of business to get into.
Sure. Yeah. My brother-in-law, Paul, and my wife, Teresa, had a cigar lounge in a couple of different locations. And my brother-in-law still has Smokies of Bloomfield. So that was how I basically got into it. Except what I did is I added something. I added the liquor license to our cigar lounge, which we did not have prior. And we're at 8 in Haggerty now, but for 5 years prior to that, we were at 6 in Newburgh.
Okay.
It was a smaller unit building space, but after COVID, we really needed a patio. So when we found this location, we built it all out, and we added a patio, so you could smoke outside when the weather's right, to offset what happened with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very interesting business, and it's a fun business. You don't get up in the morning, dredging. Oh, I'm going to work. You really look forward to it because you meet wonderful people, and there's a lot to discuss. And when it comes to cigars, as you guys know, if you smoke cigars, once you get into a cigar lounge and you're sitting down, you'll meet people from all walks of life. Mm-hmm. You'll meet people that are blue collar, white collar, but when they get in here, everything they talk about is just phenomenal, and everybody gets along great over smoking a cigar.
Mm-hmm.
It breaks down barriers.
Okay,
so like a cigar lounge, you can say it's kind of like the golf course of smoking, right? You can kind of make deals and stuff like that,
Yeah, it's the country club of smoking now, especially the fact that it's you can't smoke in any bar or restaurant or anywhere else anymore. So yeah, the cigar bar and lounge is basically the country club for smoking cigars. Yep.
Okay, now I don't smoke. I don't smoke cigars or anything like that.
Okay.
What's the appeal to it? I know when you smoke a cigarette, even though I don't, and you inhale and then you blow out. I understand that when you smoke a cigar, you just kind of puff on it. So what's the appeal to smoking a cigar?
You know what? It's very relaxing. It's really a stress reliever, and you when you light up your cigar, you toast it first, you light it up, and then as you're puffing on it, you just take the aroma from the tobacco, put on your on your palate, and you blow it out. You don't inhale it like you do a cigarette. Cigar smoker basically does not get up in the morning craving a cigar with his coffee like a cigarette smoker.
Right.
And a cigar smoker can easily go 4, 5, 6 days without a cigar when he wants to.
Or possibly longer.
It's not addicting. It's not addicting like cigarettes are.
Mm-hmm.
And they come in different. Cigars come in many different blends. You can get a very mild blend, which is a Macanudo, probably one of the most mild cigars. And then you can go to a full-bodied cigar. Like last year's cigar was the Pledge. It was the cigar of the year, and it's full-bodied. Full-bodied means it's got a lot more pepper. It's a richer cigar. It's more robust. And then there's a mild, there's a medium, and then there's a full-bodied.
Okay. Tony, what fascinates me about this industry is the hands-on approach of many of these cigar makers and rollers. You can go to a a farm, I should say. It's not a farm, but an area in Central America or the South or the Carolinas, and find nothing but tobacco for cigars and leaves for cigars. I've smoked several. I've smoked several cigars. The Palencia, the just several cigars that I've been just fascinated. And then, like you said, it's a chill mode.
It is.
You jump into a chill. Yeah.
And the Placencia that you're talking about is a phenomenal smoke. That's premium tobacco. So if you smoke Placencias, I'm sure you like Padron 64s and the Padron 26s, the higher end line, and those are real rich, full bodied cigars, and they're rolled by cigar rollers that have been rolling cigars for over 50 years. It's something that you have to be really good at it, and it only comes with experience. Especially if you get a torpedo cigar, you need a more experienced roller that's been doing it for years, so they can curve the edges to make it a torpedo.
Mm-hmm. Hey, these things sounds like drinks. so Tony, what you're telling us is that all cigars, each cigar rolled by hand, or is it like an assembly line for like a car or something? They just roll it down.
No, the cigars we got in our humidor are all hand rolled cigars. There's no machine or rolled cigars, not in a premium humidor.
No,
they're all hand rolled premium cigars, and most of them come from the Dominican Republic, Nicaragua.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jeez, man, how long does it take to roll one cigar?
One cigar will take about 7-8 minutes. Depends on the experience of the roller. Some will take maybe 9 minutes, but a good professional roller that comes from a original tobacco family, a Cuban family, he can punch out a cigar within 3-4 minutes. That comes with experience, over 30 years and stuff like that.
Oh, Tony. Now it's always been a big talk or a big thing about that Cuban cigar.
Yeah, what makes that so great?
Right, what makes it so great?
What makes this Cuban cigar better than an American cigar? And I want to get back to that rolling thing in a minute. But what?
The Cuban cigar is a special cigar because of the dirt. It's the soil in Cuba. Okay. There's no soil like that in the world.
Okay. And it's just the soil, huh? Just the soil itself.
It's the soil, yeah. It's the soil and the weather, and it's got the great weather where they can grow tobacco, and it's like a virgin sun grown. If you take tobacco and you let it age, the sun gives that tobacco a darker color and gives it more pepper.
So let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Well, why is the American government so hell spent on not allowing that kind of particular brand of cigar in America? We got it in Canada, and you only limit it to maybe bring one or two, or if any, over the bridge or the tunnel. But what makes it so? Why it seems like they're so against it?
There's no Cuban cigar.
It has to do with a lot of it has to do with the government in Cuba. It's a socialist communist government, and a lot of the families that roll tobacco have left Cuba and are in the United States, and a lot of their tobacco comes from Dominican, Nicaraguan, but it all has to do with being a socialist government. So that's where the sanctions are. But now, if you go anywhere in the world, Europe, Asia, Russia, if you were to go there and buy a Monte Cristo cigar, you would be getting a Monte Cristo Cuban. Oh. You would not be getting a Monte Cristo Dominican like we got here, because the world court has already ruled that the name Monte Cristo belongs to the Cubans.
Oh.
So so anywhere in the world you go, you're going to get a Monte Cristo. It's going to be Cuban.
Okay.
It's not going to be Dominican like it is here. You get a Cohiba. Here, it's a Dominican Cohiba. But overseas, whether you're in Asia, Russia, the Middle East, you're going to get the cigar that's owned by the Cubans, the original Monte Cristo, the original Cohiba. So that's the difference between us and them. So we really don't get the Cuban cigars here. Okay. There's Cuban seeds. There's a lot of great cigars where it comes from a Cuban seed, but it's planted in Nicaragua.
Okay.
So now, are there any cigar tobacco fields or plants here? Do they grow it here at all, or is all of it imported?
It's all, most of it is imported, but they do the binder. The most popular binder is called a Connecticut. It's a Connecticut binder, which is the lighter cigar. That's grown here. Okay. The outside, the skin of the cigar is grown here. But most of the fillers are Nicaragua, Honduran, Dominican. That's what the filler. That's the interior of the cigar that makes different blends and different flavors.
Okay, Tony, I want you were talking about how quick somebody can roll a cigar, a pro. And can you take us through the process from beginning to end of, how they roll it? Do they start with a whole leaf, or is it already broken up, or how does that process go?
That's a great question. See, take, for example, a cigar that's a Lancero. A Lancero is the smallest ring gauge cigar, and that's one leaf. So anytime you smoke in the Lancero, it's one leaf, no filler inside of it except that one leaf, which is basically a better cigar, a better cigar, because there's less room for error when you're only dealing with one leaf to make a cigar. And they only do that with the smaller ring gauge Lanceros.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a smaller ring gauge. So the wider the ring gauge, you start getting up to the 60 ring gauge and the 70 ring gauge, you got to have more filler. You got a little more room for error, but it gives it, different blends, make different flavors for cigars. They could take a cigar and make it, it comes out after they've aged it in rum or cognac or bourbon. You open up the tube and you can get the aroma of the rum or the bourbon out of the cigar.
So what when you say filler, are you talking about like more leaves, whereas the one leaf, the one you were talking about?
Yeah, the leaves. The first thing they do is when the tobacco is grown, they age it. Once it's picked, they age it in a warehouse. Mm-hmm. And it's a warehouse that's humidified. And these are huge warehouses. And then the first process after they age it, they pick which tobacco for what cigar. Mm-hmm. And there's cigars that got one blend. There's cigars that got three blends. When I say three blends, you can have a Habano, you can have a Maduro, you can have that's the blends will make the cigar taste different. But from the day you take the cigar, put it in the warehouse, they age it, and they know how long they're going to age it for. Once you take the tobacco off the shelf and you're ready to roll the cigar, first thing they do is they cut up the tobacco, and then they start rolling the cigar. It's a process. Then you add the different fillers. So you're going to have to cut different fillers, whatever you're trying to make the cigar flavor, whether you want it to be richer or if it's going to be milder, or if it's going to be a medium. So there's a couple of different fillers they put in there.
Okay, now you said
it's different tobacco. Some is dark. Some tobacco is real dark. It's Maduro, and then there's some tobacco that's real light. That's where you get the Connecticut cigars that are very mild.
Yeah, I'm a mild guy, Tony. I'm a mild guy. Hey, you're
a Macanudo guy, huh?
Yeah.
So wait a minute. Now, how long you're talking about aging and stuff like that? How long do they generally age the tobacco before they?
Oh, it varies. You got cigars that are aged. Gurkhas aged some of their cigars for their tobacco for 15 years. Whoa. And then you got some cigars that are real vintage that are aged 25 years. But for the average part, the tobacco's usually. Yeah. There's cigars, tobacco that's used in some premium cigars that's aged 25 years.
Whoa!
So the guy who started the process might not even be around when it's. That's a long time to age something, man.
Yeah, it sure is. Just like when they age, when they age whiskey, right?
Yeah.
There's whiskey that's 50 years old.
Yeah.
Hey, Tony, we're going to take a quick break, okay? One quick break, sure. And then when we come back on the other end, I want to talk about the pairings. And when I say pairings, I mean the libations and the cigar. What cigar goes best with what alcohol? Hey, we're talking to Tony Jaafar from Livonia Cigar Bar in Michigan here in the Detroit metro area. Hope you're enjoying the conversation. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You are listening to The Hook.
Sit tight, everybody. We'll be right back after these messages. Hey, you've been thinking about doing a podcast but don't have the equipment or know where to go?
Call YMP, your mobile podcast. We will come to you.
You can do your podcast without worry of equipment or travel.
For more information, contact 313-241-0017. That's 313-241-0017.
YMP.
Your mobile podcast. Got a sweet tooth and looking for something sweet to eat? Try a taste of Summer Snacks and Sweets. They have a great assortment of delicious treats that you and your family will love. Zucchini bread, pound cake, chocolate chip cookies, peanut butter cookies, oatmeal raisin cookies, and sweet potato pie, just to name a few. To place an order, call 313-207-3440. That's 313-207-3440. Orders should be made a week in advance.
Make any occasion a celebration to remember with Yard Card Memories. Birthdays, graduations, homegoings, anniversaries, and more. Yard Card Memories is a creative and artistic greeting and messaging company with a focus on making memories for any occasion with the installation of yard card rentals that we create and display on your yard. Make your occasion a celebration to remember with Yard Card Memories. To book your Yard Card Memories rental, call 313-246-2927. That's 313-246-2927. Make sure you book early. We recommend 2 weeks in advance.
Welcome back to the Hook Podcast. My name is Jeff Lowe with my co-host Keith Butler.
Welcome back, Detroit. Welcome back.
Yes, powered by the True Detroiter. And today we have guest Mr. Tony Jaafar of the Livonia Cigar Bar. And Tony, welcome back. Before we went to break, I wanted to ask you the question about how to pair cigars with different alcohols or libations.
Sure. Like a real rich cigar, for example, the Cohiba, pairs real nice with a Scotch that's very peaty, like a Lafroig. Mm-hmm. Very peaty, like a Johnny. If you like blended, Johnny Walker Black. Even the double black is even better because it's peatier. So the fuller the cigar, the better it pairs with peaty. Then if you're smoking a mild cigar, I see people smoke a mild cigar and then they'll with a two-hearted. That's a train wreck. Two-hearted, very hoppy with a full with a mild cigar. It just doesn't work together. And then you got like a mild cigar would go great with, like you said, you would smoke mild cigars. Would go great with like a Blue Moon. If you're drinking beer, Blue Moon, because it's got a little citrus in it. Blue Moon's got a little citrus. That goes very well with a mild cigar. And then the higher end scotches pair very, very well with real rich, full-bodied cigars. Now, the most popular thing with the cigar these days is the bourbon. The bourbons go very well with a medium cigar or a full-bodied cigar. It just depends which bourbon you like. Like, for example, Blanton's. Blanton's is very, very popular with a premium cigar. Probably the most popular bourbon with a great cigar would be Blanton's. Okay. And then, for somebody who's not drinking, just drink soda with their cigar. Any ginger ale goes great with any cigar.
Okay.
Ginger ale is phenomenal, but if you want to mix your drinks, Scotch, peaty Scotches go with premium rich cigars, and then bourbons also do. But the mild cigars, you don't want to. It doesn't pair well with the mild cigars. Never pair well with like a hoppy beer, or even the Crown Royal doesn't pair too well with a medium cigar or a mild cigar. That they just don't go together, and you'll taste the bitterness if you smoking your cigar fast, like with the Crown Royal. So you want, it's Scotch or bourbon pair very well with premium cigars, especially the rich cigars, the full-bodied cigars. Mild cigars, you want something sweeter on the lower end, not as peaty.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to ask because I don't drink a lot, but I do like Crown a little bit, and so it sounds like you're saying you don't want something sweet with certain cigars.
You know what? It's not that the sweetness. I don't think it would be the right word to use. Mm-hmm. You don't want something with a lot of backbite.
Okay.
Like a Crown Royal. If you got a full body cigar with Crown Royal, from my pairing experience, it doesn't pair too good unless you ice it down real heavy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What about whiskeys? What pairs good with whiskeys?
With whiskey, you said?
Yes.
You know what? You can whiskey if you're a medium cigar guy.
Mm-hmm.
A medium cigar to a full bodied cigar pairs very well with whiskey. But the more rich the cigar, the more richer it is, the more peppery it is. It pairs much better with peatier whiskey. You know what I mean? The peaty stuff that's really smoky.
Okay.
Okay. Now let me cross genders in. We've been talking about guys, and when I think of cigars, I always think of Al Capone, gangsters, and big CEOs and stuff like that. But there has been a phenomenon for quite a while now. There are a lot of women who are in the cigar smoking. What do you think about that? How did that come about? And
Huge. That came about. Basically, most of it's from Drew Estate, the flavored cigars.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, you got cappuccino, you got grape, you got groovy blues, and then you got the fat bottom Betty's. They're very popular with women. The sweet Jane's very popular with women. They're all flavored cigars, acids.
Okay. Now,
so that's what brought a lot of the ladies in to the cigar industry. And you are correct. There is a lot of female smoke. More and more female smoking cigars every day.
Yes, and they have invaded our space, Tony.
Well, not our space. Hey, it's gender neutral.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's open to everybody. So Tony, give me an idea of what goes on inside the so-called country club of smoking. What can somebody expect to find when they go there?
A lot of sports. There's always, a lot of sports. Like today, the Detroit Lions are on. A lot of sports go on in cigar bars, and we don't. We try to stay away from putting any news on because we don't want people to get political and and there's a little heat amongst people when they start talking politics, as we know. So we try to keep it more towards sports.
Mm-hmm.
And people just when you walk into a cigar lounge, you're gonna make friends every time.
Okay.
You'll make friends every time you come to a cigar lounge, and you want to find a nice cigar lounge that has leather seating, leather comfortable chairs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, I don't like the idea of you going to smoke a cigar and you're sitting on a high top like you're in a diner. And a lot of lounges do have that.
Right.
But what you want to find the cigar lounge that has nice leather chairs because this is something you want to enjoy in comfort. Mm-hmm. You're not smoking a cigar walking around outside in the cold, so you want to enjoy it in comfort.
So it's a place where you should be able to go in and sit back, relax. The big lazy boys, or the big sofas, or just big comfortable chairs, right? Yeah,
you got it. Yeah, comfortable chairs is the way to smoke cigars. It doesn't always work out that way, but that's the ideal way to really enjoy your cigar. A nice drink and sitting in comfort.
Now, since you've been in the business, how are you viewing the evolution of the cigar business in the Metro Detroit area? Would you consider it somewhat of a boom industry or something that's? I mean, I see a lot of smoke shops, cigar shops, hookah shops, you name it. They're popping up everywhere. How do you view it?
Yeah, and how's the competition between you and the other shops that Jeff mentioned? How's that going?
Yeah, there's a lot of business out there. So there's enough business out there for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's two different crowds. If you're talking about the hookah crowd, it's a much younger crowd, so it's getting bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're talking about the cigar crowd. The cigar crowd is usually older.
Okay.
But there's a lot of new young cigar smokers. But for the most part, it's older gentlemen. But the hookah crowd is much younger crowd, and they are exploding.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Okay, now for somebody like myself who's not a cigar smoker, like I said earlier, if I were thinking about or considering, maybe trying one out or getting into it, what would you suggest would be a good starter cigar for somebody like myself?
Okay, you got a couple of good choices there. The mildest cigar, one of the mildest for somebody that doesn't smoke a lot of cigars or is new to the cigar industry would be Macanudo. Macanudo is very mild. It's a Connecticut binder, and the filler is very mild. You can get it in different sizes in a Portofino. You can get it in a Cafe. You can get it in a Churchill. Churchill is the bigger size. Or you can go with, if you want to go out a step, spend another $1 more than you would on a Macanudo, $1 more or two, you would go with the Ashton, Connecticut. That's a very mild, consistent, beautiful smoke. Or you can do the Monte Cristo if you want to go up higher than that, the Monte Cristo white label. So that's what I would recommend.
Okay, now a couple questions right quick to piggyback off of that. You've been mentioning binders. What the heck is a binder? And secondly, What are the price ranges between cigars? You know, low end, high end, and so forth like that. What could I expect to pay if I were looking for cigars?
The binder is the outside. That's the skin. That's the when you're holding a cigar, your fingers are on the binder.
Okay.
And the filler is in the middle. What's creating the flavor.
Okay. Is the binder the leaf? Is that a leaf too, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the outside leaf of the cigar. And then you were talking about price. If you were to smoke let's say you grab the Macanudo Portofino, that's going to be $9.99. That's a Lancero, which means it's one leaf, and it's a very small ring gauge. Then you could do like a Prince Philip. That's a bigger cigar than a Macanudo. That's $11.99. Okay, that's the Macanudos. Now, if you were going to smoke a Ashton, Connecticut, the Churchill Ashton is $13.99. Then if you went from Churchill Ashton, you wanted to go up, you could do a Monte Cristo white label. That would be $16.99. Mm-hmm. So it varies. You can get a mild cigar anywhere from like an EP Corello cigar, which is $7.99, and all the way up to $24-$25, give or take.
Well, for one cigar, like $7 for one cigar?
Yeah.
That's why people smoke cigarettes, man. You can get a whole pack of cigarettes for $7. I don't know if I can afford that.
$7.
Hey, Tony, what's the average, for novice like myself? I'm still a novice. I'm still trying to work my way through the humidor and just try different smokes, different cigars. But for our listeners who might not be into cigars and they want to try it out, what's the average time does it take to smoke one cigar?
Yeah, and if I didn't finish the whole thing, do I have to throw it away, or can I save it for the next day, or what?
Oh, no, yeah. You can smoke a cigar as a Corona sized cigar that'll last 20-25 minutes. Okay. But if you go something like a Churchill, which is the longer cigar, that can last you 45 minutes to an hour. It depends, on the pace of how fast you smoke.
Right.
So that it can vary. It can go anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour. Just depends on the size cigar you want to, whether you want to go with a little Corona or you want to go with a larger Churchill.
Oh, so this is an event. This isn't just picking up a cigarette and smoking.
Right.
This is an event.
Absolutely.
You got to put some time away and dedicate. Okay, today at this point, I'm smoking a cigar.
Have you watched Michael Jordan when he's on the golf course?
No.
Oh, well, he smokes a cigar, and it is an event.
Yeah, see, like if you're on a golf course, like that cigar I just mentioned to you, the Macanudo would be a good golf course cigar. It's very mild. But the reason why I say it'd be a good golf course cigar is because the Macanudo's wrap very tight. So it's a slow draw. It's a hard draw, which makes it a slow burn. It'll last you a couple more holes than an easy draw.
Okay. Now, when you go to smoke, I see, I've seen on TV guys have these little clip things. They cut off the end of the
Yes.
cigar. Why do you have to do that? Can't you just light it from where it is, or?
No, you have to clip that tip of the cigar off, because usually there's a little hat on there, and that's the only way you can draw tobacco is through the area that you cut. And like the same thing with a torpedo, you got to snip off the end of the torpedo. All cigars, you got to snip off the end that are hand. If they're hand rolled, you got to snip off the end, because there's a hat cover on it that they put on there to keep the tobacco in place as it's as it's being shipped, as it's being stored, as it's being boxed on the shelf. But yeah, you have to cut the end of the cigar.
Okay, so that little cap on the end is to keep everything intact, so it doesn't fall out.
Yep.
Okay,
and there are also various cuts that you use. You have the flat cut straight across. You got the V cut.
Sure.
The punch, just a little hole that you punch into.
Yeah, Tony's a cigar expert.
Well,
man, okay, don't sit up here and act like you know what you're talking about. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, Tony, gets carried away sometimes. But I guess you're correct.
Different cuts.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right, Tony. Hey, our time is just about up. I'd like to thank you for spending a little time with us and sharing the information about the various cigars, and much success to you at the Livonia Cigar Lounge or Cigar Bar located
Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Hopefully I'll see you in there one day and we'll smoke a cigar together.
Hey, who knows? Maybe.
You'll definitely see me in there
guys,
one day.
You guys
Again,
stay safe. Enjoy your Sunday.
You too. Thank you
Talk
again.
To you later.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That was Tony Jaafar from the Livonia Cigar Bar, giving us some valuable information.
It might even get me to smoke a cigar.
I
don't think so.
Well, a lot of bald-headed guys are in there.
Whatever,
but anyway. Okay. Premium Cigars selection, cocktails, scotch, bourbon, wine, draft beers, you name it. They got the lockers. It's located on Haggerty Road, 2426 Haggerty Road, Northfield, Michigan. That was Tony from the Livonia Cigar Bar.
And go to true-detroiter.creator.spring.com and start ordering your True Detroiter gear. Yeah. I'd like to thank Tony again and Jeff. It was a good show. And with that, everybody,
hold on, one more thing. Couple more quick things, very quick. Google, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor. Check us out. And hey, if you got some suggestions, please email us at jlo1215@gmail.com or jlo200@comcast.net and subscribe to the podcast. This has been The Hook. I'm Jeff Lowe.
I'm Keith Butler.
And we'll check you out the next time on The Hook.